Village for many years. How many of you have ever been to Peace Village? Not a one, just Ganga and I. And all of you are invited. So we brought Peace Village to you. Peace Village is in the Catskill Mountains, beautiful, beautiful land. And as a little personal aside that gives me deep intoxication, my parents took their honeymoon in the exact city, Haines Falls, when they got married in 1940. And so it's double intoxication. They planted that little seed of me in that area. And for those of you that are interested in pursuing the Peace Village experience, where Anne has lived almost since its inception, we have a few of the brochures. These are not for the upcoming season, they're for the past season, but it gives you an idea. The workshops are generally from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you come back feeling like it was a month. It doesn't seem like a weekend, right, Ganga? Each breath just relaxes you more. Several times you've heard us speak about India. Many of you know Rosa and Ganga, of course, and they'll be leaving for India in about a month. Not too many in this room can leave for India, but certainly everyone in this room can get their way to New York, right?
Yes.
You know, the last time I was in Peace Village, and then I'll turn it over to Anne, I didn't know if I was going to be able to go. It was last May. Daddy Janki, the president of our university, was coming from India. At that time, she was only 103. Now she's 104. And I was using that as a reference point. Anybody 103 who could come from India. Wow. I was only 73. I could come from South Florida, you know? And that gave me a very good push to make it happen. And that's what Raj Yoga has done for me in the 30 years that I've been meditating. And it's coincidental that Anne came through the very same project that I did, as did Ganga. It's called Global Cooperation for a Better World, where people in over 100 countries were asked what kind of world they want to live in. And I wanted to live in, and I still want to, a world where there's peace, love, and joy, and to make sure nothing's left out, and abundance. Isn't that beautiful? And so what am I willing to do to make that happen? Well, I'm willing to live it right now. Why wait? And meditation has been a vehicle to enable me to walk that path, to walk that talk. So Anne is originally from Guyana, as is Ganga, and as is Sheila, the teacher of the 6:30 class in this library. Sheila is ill and sends you her best, but her class will take place tonight through rain and sleet and snow. Like the mail, we don't cancel. But speaking of canceling, this room is used for early elections. Early, did you hear me say early? This is the part that gets confusing. It is used for 1 week in March for early elections, and then the following week, the equipment still stays here. They're a little slow on taking all of those machines out. So for those 2 weeks, and we will be announcing it, oh, you don't have to make a sad face, Joanne. For those 2 weeks, we're gonna meet at T.Y. Park in Pavilion number 4. And every time we do that, people love it. And they say, why don't we do this more often? You see, so those dates will be coming to you. But again, I underline, it's the early election, not the, do you understand? Yeah. You know, when they open up that primary time frame, you see, okay? So Sister Anne was with us last night, and even though I've known her for many, many years as the owner of Peace Village. Someone introduced her as the owner of Peace Village, because she would be the first person that you see on reception when you go to Peace Village. And if you tell her you're from Hollywood, maybe she'll give you a preferred room. Some of the rooms, you know, are a little farther away, second floor. But when you mention Hollywood, maybe that'll be the magic that opens up the door for you to have. How many people think they might join Ganga this summer on a weekend trip to Peace Village? Let me see the hands high. Just 2?
3.
How many would like to? Raise your hand if you would like to. Okay, well, hold that as an intention.
Right.
And just as I held it as an intention for me to go last May, the impossible became possible, and I was able to go. So without wasting too much more of Ann's precious time, we're going to ask Sister Ann to give some of the secrets of winning, and I am so eager to hear what will come out. What will come out, because who doesn't want to win, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yes, it's on.
Okay.
Thank you so much. These two senior angels, they're amazing, aren't they?
Yes.
They are just holding the fort and just keeping everyone happy here. So that's very, very lovely. I was so much looking forward to this day, to this moment, to be here with all of you. When I was planning my trip to come to Florida, and I spoke to Sister Veronica at the Miami Center, she said, well, you know, there is this program happening on Tuesdays at the library in Hollywood. I thought, wow, I'd like to go to Hollywood. And then I got in touch with Ross, and then she wants to know, well, what would you like to talk about? So in Tampa, they were doing a series on win in every situation for a month of January, and so Sister Shireen from there asked me if I'd like to do that, and I said, sure, I'd like to do that. So when Ross asked me, well, what would you like to talk about? I said, well, there's a hot topic right now. I don't need to think too much. Let's win in every situation. And so I'm here to hear from you and to share with you, how do we win in every situation? And how is it possible to win in every situation? So when we talk about win, you know, when we hear the word win, there is something opposite to that, to winning, right? And what is that opposite?
Lose.
Lose. Nobody wants to lose, and nobody ever lose. So we're going to change that word lose with another L word, but that would be love. So there is nothing to lose. But when we change that word into love, I think that's where the winning really begins. When we talk about situations, what are some of the situations that we all want to win over?
A person.
Sorry?
Somebody. Like
Somebody, yeah.
Our thoughts.
Or thoughts. What else would you like to win over?
Win is synonymous with control.
When none of us can control, is that what you said?
Well, when you say win, I'm thinking when over somebody, I'm thinking of control.
Control.
Everybody wants to control somebody.
Control over someone, yeah. Situations. So when we think about situation, we think of something external, right? Can be, I wake up in the morning and my car is towed away, right? I wake up in the morning and I discover I left my telephone charger somewhere, wherever I went before. I wake up to a call to hear some loved one fell ill. I look at the news and I see there is a bushfire in Australia. So these are all situations, right?
Yes.
And if you look deeper into that, you will notice that the situation is always connected to people, to the person or to people, right? So situation means something that is happening externally, and it involves people. Even if the car gets towed away, people are involved in that. Somebody left the car where they're not supposed to leave it, and then the policeman came and, you know, towed it away, didn't give you an option. So it's all people that are involved in the situation. And people means that we all have personalities. We all have habits, we all have traits, and we are all very uniquely different from each other. You don't want to be me, right? Because you are you. You are born to be you. And each one of us is unique in ourselves. Each one of us are very, very unique. So when it comes to situation, it becomes a situation when, as you rightly said, if I'm trying to control the external, in the sense what that person has to say, maybe they're sharing some views on something, and I don't agree with that, and it should be like this, and so, this is where the situation would arise, and then there is that differences that will come up, and so on. And so what happens when there is those external situations? What it does to the individual, even though it might involve 2 people, 3 more, but what it does to each individual, each one of us, when there's a situation. External situation, it begins to affect our inner world, right?
Yes.
So what we want to win over is not to control the events out there, that there shouldn't be a bushfire, there shouldn't be anything like that happening out there. We cannot control those things. Someone in a plane crash, 7 or 8 people died. Could that have been avoided? Yeah? Could it have been avoided?
Yes,
Yes?
pilot
Then
I
why
don't
wasn't
know.
it avoided?
They flew in the wrong weather. It
They
was-
flew in the wrong weather.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, so that's another topic.
error.
And that topic we can talk about, destiny, things that are destined to happen.
Good morning, Hollywood Library. Are you feeling stressed out? Do you want to know how to cope better? Then join Joyce Mandel to learn how to cope in our ongoing New Year, New You series
That's
right now in our
overhead
story
news.
time
Yes.
room. Thank you.
They're not long.
So, events and situation that happens, even though we would not like them to happen the way they happen, the fact that it happened, already happened, then there has to be some point of accepting, putting it to rest, accepting, right? So accepting also is one of the qualities that will enable us to win, and that is to win in our internal world. So when there are these external situations, external forces, they have an influence on our internal world. And what we want to win over is how I can control what is happening inside of me. I cannot control what's happening outside, but I can control what is happening inside of me. So there are thoughts, there are feelings, their attitude, the vibration, and all of this, what it does, it creates an atmosphere. So when there's a situation, my thoughts will go into that situation, right? And if it's something that may have hurt me or affected me in one way or the other, then what is happening, it's not just my thoughts that are affected, because if it's repeatedly going over and over again inside, then it's kind of forming an opinion about whether it's a person or a people, right? So I'm holding on to an impression of what I'm seeing out there. And that's what we refer to as attitude, or attitude. Where does it come from? Coming from my understanding or my belief system that this is how it should be. So I hold on to that impression. And when I think of that person who may have been involved in that situation, because I've now created an attitude towards that person, then whenever my thoughts go into that direction, vibrations are going out into that direction. And vibration, they are subtle energies, right? Like our cell phone, it has a lot of energies, and they advise us not to keep it next to our bed when we're sleeping. Keep it far away because that can affect our, brain waves and all of these things, because these are subtle energies. So when I hold that impression of that person, that attitude now that has created due to that, when I think of that person, there is this vibration that is reaching out there, right? And that person walks into the room, and you're present in the room, and that person walk in. What happens then?
The attitude.
Yes.
Same
You
attitude.
change. You change the way
You change your way.
Yeah. because that
Ideally.
person made you.
Ideally, right?
Yes.
We want to do that. But that moment when you walk into that space, it begins to radiate that energy that I'm holding on, right? And that creates some tension in the atmosphere. So then the atmosphere gets activated on the basis of that.
What about habits, Sister Anne? What about then it creates a habit with you that every time you see that person, the same situation comes up,
Right.
and the same feeling, the same vibrations.
But habits are much deeper, which, we want to see how we can change this, how we can win over these situations right now. So habits are repeatedly going through the same motion, where somebody said something and I don't agree with that, and I get upset and I merge that in me. Somebody has said something, I don't agree with that, I merge that in me, right? So that's become like a pattern now, a habit, which is creating my behavioral pattern in which I'm responding or reacting to a situation. So when it comes into the atmosphere now, and say for instance, you are in the place, in the space with that person, but there's this tension between, right? I'm just giving an example of what it looks like. There's this tension between, and somebody else walk into this room. That person can tap into that, and they can feel some tension there, right? They feel something. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I said, did you know that this person got separated? And then she was saying, no, I didn't know, but I felt some tension when they were in the room, right? Felt some tension there, and it was a kind of weird situation, she was saying, but so this is how we can identify, right? So then that comes into the atmosphere, and the third person walks in, and the third person can now feel that kind of tension, right? So we wouldn't go further than that, right? But this is just the steps that happens when there's an external situation, and I now bring it into my internal world. Now, who is responsible for what's happening inside of me?
Me.
I, the individual, because I can say to the extent of, the situation happened, and I'm deciding that this is how that person is, and I make that decision, and I bring it now into my internal world. As Eda was saying now, if I repeatedly do the same steps and same process in many, many situations, what is going to happen? It's a habit, but it begins to affect.
It's gonna hold.
Yes.
They begin to affect me in many, many ways. And when it becomes a pattern, it begins to also cause a lot of tension and stress on my physical body
Yes.
and the internal organs, right?
Yes. The negativity of it.
The negativity of it, that negative emotion, negative vibration that I'm, bringing inside my inner world, it's affecting me. So now when I understand how it works, and when I understand that I'm the one who becomes now the victim, because I am taking in all of this inside of me, right? So now if I want to win over the situation, I'm seeing here's the situation and here's what I did to myself. Now I want to be the winner in this. I want to be not a loser, but I want to be the winner. And so I want to change losing into loving. I want, regardless of whatever is happening, that I should be able to love myself. And so how do I begin that process of now loving myself? I begin to identify the situation and I begin to look and see, now I've been through a few of these already, right? A few of these already, and I'm sure if each one of us look back in the past day or the past week or the past month, we can identify there were situations like this. Can be a small one, can be a big one, right? And we can also identify what it had done to us or is still doing to us. And we don't want to be stuck into that situation, right? We want to be able to come out of this. So now I have to make a choice. Situations want to stop out there, right? I may be in a very good frame of mind, but if somebody else may not be so, and then again I can come under the influence of that person, right? So how do I begin to make a change for myself so I can win in every situation? So winning is a decision that I have to make, knowing that I, the individual, suffer when there are these kinds of situations. Right? So then what do we do?
Change your thoughts.
Change our thoughts?
Accept that everything happens for a reason and just be calm about that it did happen, it did occur, and what can I do, if anything, to make it better?
Right.
I think because our mind is always working
Mm-hmm.
and should be working in a positive direction.
Right.
Because negative things do happen. It's our reaction to the negative things that can make it worse or better for us.
Right. And in the current time, coming from Peace Village and almost every Friday meeting many new people, people are all really on a different level in their lives where they don't want to get sucked into this situation anymore. So there's this seeking happening, seeking to be a better person, which is an individual responsibility. And so there are many people who really would like to win in every situation, and so they go out to look for those support places, support groups like you all are here today, right? Because we all know that it's not possible to do it alone. We need the support of a group, of society, of people who are like-minded, to be under that kind of influence, so we gain that strength and that confidence to, pursue this change. So so one of the things is to really recognize what the situation has done to me, what I've allowed the situations to do to me in the past. And most of the time it's like we are sometimes innocent about it, because we were brought up in society, and we were brought up with family background and religious background and so on, in which we were taught to respond in such a way, right? But then later on, as adults, we begin to see that I think I need to make some change in this, right? And maybe other family members may not be ready to make that change in that, but as it is said, when I change, the world will change. Not when I change all of you, the world will change, when I change. So it starts individual by individual by individual. So to recognize now what I do to my inner world when I allow those situations to enter right? And this is where spirituality comes into the play. What is spirituality? That while I'm going about my daily life, I apply something, some method, some formula, some little strategy in which I can coach myself into this, to not allow myself to get sucked into those situations and people's and all of that. Because as we are aware, we cannot change someone else out there. We cannot change as much as we would like to see the change outside, and that's going to make me change deeper. But I can wait a long, long time for that to happen.
If ever.
If it ever happens, right. Anytime I'm thinking that, oh, if this person behave like this, then everything is going to be fine, and if this person behave like this, everything is going to be fine. But that's an expectation. And that expectation brings a lot of disappointment to us, because that's not in my hand. Well, what is in my hand? My own changes.
And your reaction to the other person too
Yeah.
is within our control too.
Yes,
You know.
definitely. Yes.
So,
Whatever come out from us, that's in my control. The external thing, to an extent, but most of the time, it's not in my hand. But my responses, my reaction, all of that, those are in my hand.
And you don't,
Hmm?
you have to do it in your own. It's like everything you put it like, not to react. Some people make you mad. It's the
Yeah.
same people. Sometimes it's a family member. Every time you see it, it's like, I don't know, it's something in you. They say a word and then you react.
Right.
But like you say, is if you start putting like your own words inside you and try not to react at those moments. It's
Yes.
like you have to set your mind and
Definitely. Yeah, and it's not that I'm sitting here and I'm the embodiment of what I'm saying to you, and I have it all together. It's a work in progress.
yeah.
But in the midst of it, I found method in which I need to work on to not allow myself to get drawn into situation. You know, every day I listen to some spiritual teachings, some higher learning that is going to keep my consciousness at that level, so I don't get caught into those things that has low energy, situations and people that has that low vibration. So I don't get caught into that, even though I have to still be in the presence.
Because every day you go to the situation, it's like you go to the store and somebody do something to you and you don't react. You know, now you think and you react in a different way now.
Right.
Before we used to scream and talk to them. Now it's like very
Yes.
peaceful. You look at the person and you
That's
say,
right.
okay, she's
Yeah.
and
So
you
before
go
we
to
used
the-
to react, and what is react?
like you get to, it's like kind of, you get too emotional or you get mad, it's
Right.
kind of,
Right.
now you look the person and it's so funny because you look at it and it's like, you just move over, you move away from the
Right.
situation. And,
So reaction is like being very impulsive.
mhm.
You don't give yourself the opportunity to think before you speak. So somebody says something, it's like, ooh,
Yes.
just already came out. And before you know it, it came out and you didn't even think about it. And then it's like, I did it again.
And then you do
I said it
things
again. And then what happened?
Yes.
I'm upset with myself now.
because you don't want to do it, but it's like the words that came on your mouth and it's like.
And
you
that's the
will
habit,
translate
yeah.
it to the habit.
That's the habit she was talking about.
and
So-
that's where I've learned, I try to do this.
Mhm.
But when somebody annoys me, I don't know their story that day.
Exactly.
I don't know what happened to
That's a
them,
good,
and maybe they're really having a bad day.
day.
So I try, work in progress, to give them good wishes
Right.
and step away from the situation.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah. So when there's the habit, that is being created by doing this again and again, habits compel us, right? Like those habits when they lead to addiction. And when there's addiction, you don't think anymore. You just, that feel good, I want that feel good, and go for that. So habits, they are addictions. So I'm addictive to when somebody says something to me, I'm going to just, I'm ready. Right?
Say right away.
Right. Until one day I feel, oh my gosh, I think I'm getting a heart attack. But it's actually only tension in my muscles. It's not a heart attack. So this is what we create, right? So reaction comes from habit. Responding comes from an awakened intellect. When that level of the being that is able to hold a higher thinking and a higher learning and recognizing what I'm doing to myself, then I begin to respond. So responding is like I'm taking a moment to go in and then give a response. And there's a difference. In responding, there's no emotion involved. There's clarity involved. Right? Because I'm taking a moment. And one of the methods we teach when we do the positive thinking workshop is SOS. So standing back. And I just withdraw for a moment, observe. I was faced with a situation before, and here it is again presenting itself to me. And I know what was the outcome of that. So I'm observing myself now, okay? And this happened in a split second. And then I respond. Or I steer, SOS. I steer means I choose my response. And if I'm able to do this 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times in the whole day, that is a step to my success. And that's a step to my winning. So the winning is how I'm able to go through all of life's problems and situation, but I am making that as a gift for myself, as learning, teaching for myself. Yeah? How we can change that into an experience for myself. And this is what meditation is about. This is what you've been coming here for the past, how many years?
14 years.
14 years.
Some of them,
Right.
some not.
Right? And so,
I was just going to say, we call it the secret of 90-10.
okay.
90% of stuff is going to, is that the right way, Roz?
Yes.
90% of stuff is going to happen.
Yes.
Stuff is going to happen. But it's the 10% how you react, how you control those emotions, those feelings, those thoughts. That's what you put out there.
Yes.
So it's the secret of 90-10, if you remember that. Stuff is going to happen. We can't stop that.
Right, that's right. Yeah, so, and again, once we recognize that it's harming myself.
Right.
So the first step is to recognize that I'm harming myself, right? And if I'm harming myself, then the act of being sensible is I have to make some change. To be sensible, to be wise mean that I'm going to choose wisely what I need to do to take care of myself, to make myself not reactive, to make myself win in this situation. And so what is meditation? Taking control of my thoughts. Now I can control as much as I want, but I'm controlling my thoughts. I look at my thoughts. Okay, why are you going in that direction? That situation's past. That's over with. Now let me change that. Let me steer my thoughts into another direction. Okay, that person, maybe they're having a bad day. You know, I don't know what's the whole picture. I'm just seeing 1% of it. There must be much, much more to that person's reaction. Let me change my thoughts and have a good wish for that person. That may you overcome whatever is happening and be better today. So I want to change my thoughts to that level, to be a well-wisher, right? And well wisher for others means I'm really wishing well for myself. Because since it's coming from me, whatever I'm sending out to others, like that 10%, it's going to come back to me. Right? And if I can increase this, then that is my winning. Winning is taking care of myself. Yeah? Any question?
Well, we've all won today. Can't you see that? When we've learned some ways to control our thoughts, when you control your thoughts, you can change your life
That's right.
to have the happiness that you would prefer to have.
So we could listen to Sister Ann all afternoon, and I get the happy task of telling her it's time to meditate. It's time to meditate. But Ann, we have something special here in Hollywood.
Wow.
You know, this is something you don't have. You may live at Peace Village, but we live in Hollywood. And we have the Hollywood Spiritual Walk of Stars.
Okay.
And so we know there's room in your suitcase for this little star.
Okay, yes.
And we know it's something that you don't already have. It's kind of hard to give a gift to someone who has it all. But could we have like a 5-minute closing meditation?
Sure.
And then
Because I have a flight to catch.
she has a
right?
flight to catch.
What's the time?
Yeah, Ed is here to take her. But as I was guessing what her topic intrigued me, and as I was guessing where she was going to go with it, I gave the example of Ed, and it must be 20 years ago. Ed, sitting in the back there, he rented a car at his own expense, and he drove 2 hours away to a prison that he was used to serving. And when he got there, his name, for some reason, was not on the list that day. And they're very strict. They wouldn't make an exception to, well, we know you, come on in. And he drove back that same day, not having accomplished, but he won because he didn't lose his peace. To me, that taught me this lesson a long, long time ago. So Ed, I don't know if you remember that situation.
Well, I keep my car when I get outside.
So
Thank you.
give us a little closing meditation,
Wow.
if you would.
All right.
Would you like some music in?
No, silence is good. Oh, thank you. So now we understand who we want to win over. And so, as you leave here today, leave with the understanding that I am a winner. I've won in many situations and I will continue to win. So sit relaxed, let the body be free, back upright, and look forward. Imagine that you're seeing this bright, shining light in front of you, like a star dancing. And this is who I am. I am the star, the winner. I have the power to change my thoughts and so change my world. What are situations? It's a matter of the way I think. When I understand that winning is in my hand, then I begin to love myself and love everyone, because each one is trying their very best. And let me be the one to support this energy of support for the world, regardless of what is happening. Let me keep my thoughts at the level of being a benefactor for the whole world. Let me emerge those great souls, Mother Teresa, Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, how much sacrifice they made in their lives to be who they are. To win, I have to always use the power to tolerate. I have to have patience. I have to see and don't see. I be the detached observer at every step. And when I can observe the games of life, I am able to draw the best gift from every situation. And at the end of every day, let me give myself the star that I am the winner. Situations happen, but it did not break me. I've learned. I'm becoming strong because I was born to win. Om Shanti. I am a peaceful soul. Om Shanti. I came from the world of peace. Om Shanti. I'm a child of the ocean of peace. Thank you all very much for coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is so lovely. You can see why you all have to go to Peace Village.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because when you can come and be in a state of peace, like almost continually, like she said, she's a work in progress.
Yes.
But you can almost be in a state of peace in all situations, because when you hold your peace, that you are a winner.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.